Hello, my name is Taylor Smella.
And I'm Kylie Bowes. Welcome to Lock Haven University's HavenScope. We have several great stories lined up about people and events around campus, so let's get started.
Our first story tackles a hot topic in national media: domestic violence among athletes. Reporter Brandon Clemens investigated from a campus viewpoint.
The National Football League has always had issues with domestic violence, but recently, the topic has exploded in the media. This issue has given NFL players a new image, an image that has changed the reputation of the league tremendously. With an annual domestic violence rate of 13%, the NFL's domestic policy was questioned after Baltimore Ravens star running back Ray Rice, who assaulted and dragged his fiancée out of an Atlantic City casino, was charged with third-degree aggravated assault on March 27th. And was suspended only 2 games by the NFL. It wasn't until after this video of Rice was released by TMZ that the NFL decided to extend the suspension to a full year. Other players soon emerged in the spotlight, such as Greg Hardy, a defensive end for the Carolina Panthers who assaulted and threatened to kill his girlfriend, and also Adrian Peterson, who has been indicted for reckless injury to a child. I asked the Lock Haven football team and other students on campus what their thoughts on the issue were.
Domestic violence is an issue, not just in the NFL, but just in society as a whole. I think it's just, with the limelight that the National Football League has, I think it's a venue that has brought it to the forefront.
I mean, that's my boy Ray Rice. You can't be doing that.
It's a problem everywhere, but especially the way the NFL works at it. When usually when the news will come out, they'll be you're suspended 2 games, but then they don't really beef up the suspension until there's a public issue on it.
Shouldn't have done it.
In a way, I'm glad the National Football League is hopefully will lead the charge in this issue. But I think it's an issue that we all have to face and all have to talk about and try and help solve.
I think it's wrong, for one thing, for such a superstar like Ray Rice to hit his wife, and he's an example to kids. But at the same time, I think the NFL needs to have focus on that, but more so focus on just the NFL in general, like football.
Ray Rice, Ray McDonald, they're big problems. Greg Hardy. But I think media is also blowing it up. I think it always happened, but I feel nowadays it's getting worse and worse because of the media always just talking about it all the time and blowing situations.
Shouldn't happen. They got to crack down on the domestic violence.
Well, I think that the NFL should focus more on football instead of worrying about outside things. I understand that what happened with Ray Rice was bad and he shouldn't have hit his wife, but they need to focus on football more than domestic violence issues.
I think it's wrong for anybody to hit their wives, but definitely in the NFL because they have a whole bunch of little kids looking up to them, and that's the last thing you need is for little kids thinking it's okay to hit a girl or anybody.
They got to acknowledge the fact that one of their players and employees, beat his wife, but at the same time, I think they're focusing too much on it.
The NFL has certainly taken a blow for these unfortunate events. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell, who has been criticized due to the poor handling of the Ray Rice situation, has stated that a new personal conduct policy will be in effect prior to the 2015 Super Bowl.
On a lighter note, I got the chance to interview Kenny Hall, a Lock Haven alum who is still very involved on campus. What was your experience at Lock Haven like as a student?
It was fantastic. Got on campus, was scared, horrified, really not knowing where to go, where to be. I was a football player, so that helped out quite a bit. But being from Daytona Beach, Florida, it wasn't necessarily what I expected it to be. I remember getting the video from Lock Haven with weird camera angles and all types of different things. And so when I got here, the place just didn't quite look like I thought it would look. And plus, there was no beach, and so it was a little weird that way. And yeah, no bikinis, no people running around half naked. That kind of put me off a little bit. But once I got here, I began to really acclimate to Lock Haven. But it took me about 1.5 years to do it. So in the meantime, I really did get to explore like what it meant to be a student on a college university campus. I thought it was going to be something like Animal House, but maybe that movie's way too old for you. I don't know. Just kind of trying it out. But when I got here, it wasn't so much of a party scene as much as there were people who were kind of dedicated to studying and getting things done. And so I really did have to kind of change my mentality and find what I wanted to be at the end of the day and who I wanted to be. Because I didn't get a lot of guidance from my previous high school. It didn't really kind of help me that way. But it did prepare me academically, so I think I was ready to go by the time I stepped foot on campus from that perspective. But the social and the financial, yeah, that was a little bit more of a struggle.
What was your major when you first came to the school?
I was business management and accounting, and I basically chose my major because I really wanted to make money. In fact, I remember my advisor, who was someone who was doing undeclared students at the time. That probably didn't come out well, so I'll try it again. She was the advisor for undeclared students at the time, and so basically she kind of led me through a process of trying to select what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted money and I didn't know how to get there, so I chose accounting because I would be dealing with money. I just didn't realize at the time I'd be dealing with other people's money. And I also chose business because, well, that's kind of what I do, is choose what other people chose, and I knew a lot of people that chose business. And so that's kind of how I got to my majors.
How did your major help you prepare for the job you have now?
Yeah, not so much because I'm not working with numbers or in business so much, but I think it helped me with interpersonal skills. Like I really did have to lean on a lot of my peers in regards to knowing exactly what my professor's expectations were at points. So interpersonal skills wise, it helped me quite a bit. It also helped me kind of focus because in business, it's about philosophy. It's not about right and wrong. And it kind of stretched me in a couple of different ways because I was a very opinionated person. I was somewhat shy. I know you can't probably tell that now, but I was. So it kind of stretched me through group work to kind of be a little bit more open to other people's perspectives and to be a little bit more accepting of different ideas. I was a little stubborn, and so now I'm not so much stubborn, but I'm still learning it through that process. But that was the beginning of just kind of planting the seeds for who I am now.
How does college help prepare students for a successful life?
Well, I hope that we would be able to give students the opportunity, the tools to be successful. I think that's one of the major adjustment points that students kind of go through. They expect that high school is going to be a lot like college and vice versa. College is going to be a lot like high school. But in high school, your teachers taught you. Here, professors actually give students the tools in order to be successful. Now, that's not to say that we don't have teaching professors on campus, because we do have quite a few, but I think the primary job of professors is to give you tools in order for you to teach yourself. And I think that's an expectation that's not always aligned properly in regards to what students expect versus the reality of the situation.
What is the importance of a student having a relationship with the school that they go to?
You mean like a business relationship, right? Not like a personal relationship?
Yeah.
Alrighty, I just want to clarify. I think it's extremely important. In fact, I think that relationship actually sets the tone for success. The more invested the student is in regards to a relationship, the better off they're going to be at the end of the day. The more empowered they are through their process, the better they're going to be able to overcome adversity. And I think that without a relationship, people are more likely to kind of pack their bags and leave at the first sign of trouble. I think that relationships give people the impetus to kind of fight through hard situations and maybe come out of it a little better off at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. How important is it to determine your own weaknesses?
I think it's extremely important. In fact, I think that a lot of times when students get here from high school, they don't necessarily think about their weaknesses as much as their strengths. And I believe that the combination of the two really do help you accentuate what you do well, and it allows for you to stay away from things that you might struggle with. But I think a lot of times when students come from high school, they're kind of conditioned to think that they do everything well, when that's not necessarily the case. And so they go through the school of hard knocks to kind of get to the point where they realize that there are things that I don't do as well as other things that I do well.
While you were at Lock Haven, did you have any professors that really influenced your time there?
Absolutely. There was an English professor by the name of Carolyn Perry who was my advisor, and she would probably kill me for my previous statement of doo-doo, because I did say that before. So one of the things that Carolyn did was she was like my surrogate mother. She really did kind of help me through the process of what I needed to do to empower myself. And so, you know, one of the things that she really stressed was what were my choices, what were my goals, what were my aspirations, and really kind of used those things to kind of guide me through my process. So she was fantastic. And when I declared a major, Nancy Berry, who was my accounting professor, really did kind of take me through the process as my advisor of being able to make the proper choices as an accounting and business management major.
What is your job title at Lock Haven University?
Good question. I am the director of the Center for Excellence and Inclusion.
And what does that entitle?
A lot of stuff. Basically what I am, my wife likes to call me a glorified social worker, but, and that's a shout out to all social workers around the world. I really do love you guys. But basically what I do in my job is I look at a student's needs and try to help them find a solution to whatever problem that may be. I work out of 3 major areas, which is social, financial, literacy, and also academics.
What is success to you?
I think success to me is defined by the person who's actually asked to measure success. Like success to me is happiness, it's having a healthy family, being able to live with myself and the decisions that I make at the end of the day, understanding what my value is to a process and knowing that I have an ability to impact something in a positive way. Helping people is success for me in a lot of different ways.
What is the relationship between success and motivation?
I think there's a huge relationship between success and motivation. I think that in order to be successful as how you define success, you've got to want to pursue that. It's got to be something that's a passion for you. You've got to kind of have a calling in order to do it to the best of your ability. Because I believe that success is not necessarily attaining a goal, but it's actually doing it to the best of the ability that you've been given. And I think that a lot of times when we measure success, we don't necessarily think of it in that way.
How did you get this job at LHU?
I had a lot of connections. Like, I started out as an athlete playing football, and then I wound up getting hurt in my sophomore year. I had to transition from being a player to basically an equipment manager, for lack of a better term. And through my transition period, I became really, really close with the residence hall director. And so he encouraged me to then become an RA. And through my RA position, I met Dr. Linda Koch. Became close with her at a given point in time. And she was the VP for Student Affairs at that time. And then basically what happened was that Dr. Koch then gave my name to Joe Coldren, who's the director of admissions. They brought me in as a temporary person in the admissions office to kind of be a road runner of sorts to visit various high schools. And from there, the woman who I was replacing at a point became pregnant. So they extended my contract and they allowed me to stay another 9 months. And then after those 9 months were up, she became pregnant again. So they allowed me to become a permanent employee at that time. So I have a little shout out for Leslie Blank, who was so fertile that she got me a job at Lock Haven University.
Would you say making connections is really important to get a job after college?
Absolutely, and I think making connections helps you with finding a comfort level at the institution or an institution that you're at. So I think making connections is important in a couple of different ways. It's important for you to define who you are as a person in a job or in an area of academic interest, but it also kind of helps you continue to be a lifelong learner in whatever you do. And I think that I'm a big advocate of the fact that if you're a lifelong learner, if you love what you do, if your job's your passion and your passion is your job, that jobs will pursue you and you don't necessarily have to pursue a job. And so I'm all about finding things that you love and pursuing those things, because if you are extremely good at the things that you love, then eventually someone will notice it and they will pursue you for your passion.
What are some things that you recommend students get out and do to create connections?
I would say get out and make friends. You know, I always say that diversity, which is the field that I've worked in previously, diversity is all about relationships. And I know I've mentioned relationships multiple times, but I do believe that they're the building blocks for success. And so the more you get out and you meet people, interact with people who are different from you, pursue those relationships as if you're dating. Not to say you need to date people who you pursue those relationships with, but the more you get out and interact with people who are different from you, the more you're comfortable with dealing with difference. And the more comfortable you are dealing with difference, the better you're going to be in adverse situations. So, absolutely.
What are some pros and cons of your job?
Some of the pros are I get to work with students on a daily basis, and I really do love helping students. Absolutely. And I think the cons are attached to the pros, because there are some times when I really don't have the answer to the question, and I don't have any more options that I can take a student through other than to say, you might want to explore finding someone who may have a better knowledge of this than me. My competitive nature makes me feel like I should always have the answer, but working with students, I know that eventually I need to be upfront and honest with them when I get to a roadblock, but I hate getting to roadblocks. I hate not having an answer to a question.
You talked a lot about your connection with football. Can you tell us more about that?
Well, when I played football, my first year we won 3 games, and we were pretty disappointed by that. And then my second year we won 3 games, and we were pretty disappointed by that. And so I think the thing I learned a lot from football was how to manage relationships and manage disappointment. Because, you know, one of the things that we did, well, we worked extremely hard to achieve a goal, and sometimes we didn't achieve that goal. So it really did help me to learn how to overcome adversity, and it taught me how to be a better person and leader at the end of the day.
Thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you. You were excellent.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Our next story explores a club sport that is anything but ordinary. From the wizardly world of Harry Potter, reporters Chris Adiwer and Julia Snyder bring you Quidditch, LHU style.
Hi, my name's Sean Kaczynski. I'm the founder, coach, and captain of LHU Quidditch. I'm a chaser. That means I score goals with the quaffle. That's the deflated volleyball we have. White is the chaser headband, and all contact has to start with the chaser from the front. You can advance to behind, but seeing because it's full contact, everything has to start from the front. So chasers score goals. I like to score goals and hit people.
Watch me hit the cray button. Watch me hit the cray button. Watch me hit the cray button.
I'm AJ. My name's AJ. My job is a keeper. I wear a green headband. My job is to protect the hoop.
I'm a beater, so I wear a black headband. And basically what I do is hit people with dodgeballs as a way of defense.
Rock your cranium. 3, 2, 1, detonation. I wonder what happens if I hit the cray button. I guarantee the whole place starts jumping. I wonder what happens if I hit the cray button. I guarantee the whole place.
That's our show for today. Please join us again for HavenScope. Have a great evening.